Time for a Strava segment. This is one I've been looking forward to for some time. It's the Paris Mountain Strava segment. The segment starts after you come to a stop sign where Old Buncombe Road becomes Kiger Road, or it says on the map Frontage Road. But you'll be turning off of Kiger Drive onto Altamont Road. It's Altamont Road that is the actual segment. You see the sign there that said that Paris Mountain was to the right, and that's because the next turn is the beginning of the segment. It doesn't start right here. You have to come into the turn, and then you'll see the Strava segment begin a little bit past the fire hydrant there. Now you'll notice I added a little something to this video, and that is Mike Potter, who you see there in my, I guess you would call it my rear view mirror. I had two GoPros going on this particular climb, one so you could see where I was going and one to see what was behind me. I was by myself when I started the ride, but Mike showed up when I was coming down Old Buncombe, and I was excited to see him. So I said, hop on, let's get some more interesting video with you included in it. So I'm thankful that he came along with me. First time I'd met him. So again, cycling, great way to meet new people, and glad to meet Mike and hope to ride with him again. One of the reasons why it's taken me so long to do this segment is because I've been scared to try it. I thought I would be embarrassed because I knew I couldn't come anywhere near the time of the guys who put up the KOMs. Matter of fact, I can't even come close to my own times. I think my PR on this is 11 minutes and 24 seconds. And I'm good to get up there in 13, on a very good day, 12 minutes. So feeling the way I was, I decided I would just set a goal for myself using some mathematics. So here's the equation that I use. I can determine how much time it's going to take me to make the climb by using this particular equation, combining weight, wattage, elevation, and some standard information about overcoming gravity. That's what it takes to get up the mountain. So using that equation, I decided that I was going to aim for a 13-minute and 36-second time. Since I couldn't control gravity, it'd be hard to lose a lot of weight fast. I decided watts was the only thing I was going to be able to control. So I set my goal for 310 watts for the climb. If I did that, I should be able to make it in 13 minutes and 36 seconds. We divide the road up, or at least most local riders do, into various sections. Here we're entering the tower section. It's called that because as you come into this grade, and the grade does definitely pick up at this point, you'll see over to your right a large, well, it's not really a tower, but a large water container that is used because of the elevation, water stored there for houses and whatnot beneath that area. So this is the water tower section. You'll see Mike back there standing because this is a place where you're probably going to have to stand in order to keep some speed. At 330 watts, I'm only getting 9-10 miles per hour. So it's kind of tough, but if you can get through this, there's a turn coming up where you can recover a little bit. As usual on a climb, it's best to take it easy when you're starting out. Save some of that energy until the end. That's especially true on this Paris Mountain or Altamont Road climb, because at the very end you're going to see we come to what is known as the wall. And on the wall, I'm not kidding, you could lose up to a minute of time if you have used up too much energy in the beginning. So here we are coming up in one of those places where you can use too much energy, finishing up the Tower Road, and you'll see the turn that's coming up. Once you make that turn, there's a little bit of a false flat. It's not, eases up a little bit so you can take some time to recover. So we finished up the Tower Road section, and now we're coming to what is called city lights. If you look on Strava, you'll notice that one of the segments that's available on Paris Mountain is called city lights. And that was the little housing development we just passed on the right. I think people like to use that as repeats, so they'll come up to that point, turn around, come back down, and do their repeat training in preparations for the longer climbs. We're climbing on along. It's not quite as steep at this point. You can see that by watching my wattage and the speed. Little less wattage in order to get a higher speed, so that's how we can tell that we've eased off a little bit. Pretty soon you should be able to see that speed pick up, I would say significantly, but definitely over 10 miles an hour, because as we come around this turn that's right here, this right-hand turn, things really seem to flatten out and you can get a lot more speed. Here, instead of going for speed, I'm more or less using it as a time to recover. Mike was right on my wheel. He'd been there this whole time. He was riding a Garmin team issue bike. Kind of an interesting story. Had Christian Van de Velter's name on it, and I think he got it because the bike had never been used, but the team then switched over to Cervelo and was no longer using felt, so they had these extra bikes, and Mike knew someone that was able to connect him with it. Pretty cool story. But he was chasing me along on that felt time trial bike. Perhaps you noticed that we were hitting around 13-14 miles per hour at 250 watts, and that's because we're nearing the halfway point where it's a little bit flat. You also notice we passed an interesting story, and that is a rider who goes up the mountain, and I see her around other places, with a little dog riding in a basket on the front. You also notice the guy there to the right in the yellow sweatshirt. He's either her boyfriend or her husband, but anyway, he goes up the mountain on inline skates. So I will often see them doing that together, and one of these days I'm going to stop and I'm going to ask them what their story is, because it's got to be interesting. Now, I don't know if you had been paying attention to my cadence on the earlier part of the climb. I was in my big ring at that point and was in the low 70s on that climb. Here I have switched into my smaller ring, and you'll also notice that my cadence has gone down, and that's because the second half of the climb has a bit more of a grade than the first half of the climb. Of course, at this time I'm also feeling more fatigued, and it's a lot harder to hold that wattage up. As a matter of fact, as I was going along, I would see it dipping down into the 200s, and then I would try to get that speed up again into the 300 watts, because that's what I was trying to do, maintain over a 310 watt average. And it just gets hard. At times like that, it's good to just shift down a gear and stand, get your momentum up going again, and then settle back. But if you start losing that momentum, it becomes harder and harder to keep going. And this particular section is hard. This turn that we're coming up to the right, I call that my section of death. It seems like that's the time when I begin to really lose my momentum. There used to be a little blue post up ahead, and I called it the blue post of death. And I think it's been replaced now with a little gray box, but it still seems like death to me. The good news is that once you hit that point, you get another reprieve where things begin to level out a little bit for you. And yeah, there it is. There's that gray box of death there to the right. Green box of death, something like that. But here it eases up a little bit. You can breathe before you kick up on the next grade. Some advice I've been given on climbing is very simple. Number one, keep your head up. Look where you're going. I have a tendency to look down and just kind of lull myself into this rhythm. But when you do that, you'll find that you're beginning to lose your pace. So looking ahead, aiming for the next turn. When you find yourself losing that momentum, shifting gears to get it back up again, keep moving. One thing I found helpful for myself is moving my hands to the center of the bar, which makes me sit up a little more, and keeping my head up, looking for that next turn, paying attention to my wattage. Here I notice my heart rate is like 176. I know that I have more to give, and sometimes seeing that is what you need to give you that extra impetus to stand up and push on to the next turn. Of course, you'll notice that my RPMs, my cadence, has picked up. We're now in the 80s. And you'll also notice that my wattage has gone down. Here's where I can tell I'm beginning to struggle. But the good news is I know that I'm getting close to the end. We've only got a couple more turns to make, and then we'll be on the wall. And if I have enough left, I should be able to push up the wall and get a good time. Frankly, I was feeling pretty good at this point that I was going to be able to make my 13-minute and 36-second time goal. Of course, I wasn't able to see Mike behind me, and now that I'm looking, I can see he was falling back a little bit. Don't blame him. I know I could have gone harder. I could have gone faster, and looking back, that's a good sign for me. I think I can make some progress this year in bringing my time down. But I want you to notice here this right-hand turn sign to the right. That's telling you you are getting ready to come up on the wall. The wall is right after this turn to the right. You can see the guardrail right in front of you. Once you make that turn, you are on the wall. Of course, some people might argue that the wall starts at that sign, but I've always made the wall start right around this turn. As you come around, there will be a road to your right, and that's kind of the thing that I've used as the beginning of the wall. So here, you just stand, you put your pedals down, and you can notice here that I'm rocking. It's almost like a slow motion sprint at this point. I remember back in the day when I was able to actually finish this climb pretty quickly, I was putting out around 600 watts on this particular section. Again, you can gain a lot of time on your climb here, or you can lose a lot of time on your climb here. For me, if I want to have a good time, I'm going to have to come around at about 400 watts. Otherwise, I'm just losing too much time. Today, I just kept giving it what I had, which wasn't a lot, and wheeling myself around this last turn up to the KOM. So we're very close. Don't give up. If you have to, stand at this point. You can probably see my head bobbing up there because I was really trying to get across the line, sprinting, if you could say, to the line at 8 miles per hour. But there it is. A white line, there's the KOM, and it says you made it at that white line, and that's how you know you're there. Now, hey, for a bonus feature, I'm giving you some downhill. This is one of the reasons why you climb, is so you can go down. I just thought it was kind of cool, since I had a camera on the front and a camera on the back. What would it look like going down Paris Mountain with both views? So I don't know if you find it cool, but I do. Enjoy it, and I'll be back toward the end. Thanks for watching. I know this has been a pretty long video, but I'm sorry it takes me that long to climb the mountain. If I had someone like Chris Butler climbing, I might be able to shift this down into the 8-minute range. But right now, you just have to take what you can get. Of course, one of the reasons why I do these videos is to draw attention to the I Do It For Foundation. So visit us at idoitfor.org. If you're a person who's involved in active sports like cycling, marathons, running, I Do It For Foundation is a great option for you. You can also see more videos, learn more about the foundation, and a little bit more about me by going to locadence.com. And I appreciate you watching.